What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOverGreggy show. I am one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the producer/seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Top of the morning to you, Greg.
That's gross. You were putting the beard up your nose.
I was like to smell it.
I
Smells
don't really
like
know if
broccoli.
it's clean.
It smells like broccoli because you just
Yeah,
ate,
I had broccoli for lunch.
You just ate broccoli, though. I don't think your beard smells like broccoli. I
No,
think
not
probably your
in
mouth
general.
smells like broccoli.
It's adaptive. It adapts to whatever I eat. Sometimes it smells like a Lara bar.
No, it definitely... No, there's no way it smells like a Lara bar.
Sometimes I like to take the Lara bar and I just kind of comb the top of my beard with it.
Then it would smell like a Lara
Just
bar.
to
What the hell
keep
is
it-
that? I don't even know what you're saying.
It's like a
down.
Cliff Bar. Just imagine a Cliff Bar.
Oh, okay.
But-
But you're just making things up now.
If you were part of the
does
climbing
that?
community, you'd know it well because they need it for when he's 15 feet off the ground and he can't get to a Taco Bell or Starbucks.
I'll tell you, the difference
upsetting.
between 15 feet and 16 feet can be made by the Lara bar.
Over here, the Pride of Long Island, Colin Moriarty.
It's good to be here with you today. And by the way, I want to take a moment to say two things. Number one, Billy Joel got married. So I
Again?
want to wish him, he got married on his Long Island estate out east.
Aw, congratulations, Billy Joel.
So congratulations to Billy Joel. Of
Big.
course, there's three, the
fan.
trifecta of Long Island, of course, is Billy Joel, Jerry Seinfeld, and me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Suffolk County's right in the middle.
Suffolk County's right in the middle. Exactly, Greg. Very, very good. No, Suffolk County's not right in the middle, but that's where I'm from. The other two, of course, are
Well, I'm
from
saying
Long
it's in the middle of the triangle.
Well, I'd like to think both Nassau and Suffolk County are in the middle because
Okay.
Billy Joel and Jerry Seinfeld are both from Nassau County.
Did Christy Brinkley come to the wedding, you think?
Probably not. Still a huge Islanders fan, apparently, though.
Did he marry an uptown girl?
Yeah, I'm sure he did. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Good.
Big
Big
fan
of us.
Oh, yeah, I don't think he knows we exist.
Billy Joel
No.
loves us.
We're not even a blip on Billy Joel's radar.
The second thing I want to do is wish a very happy birthday to Phil Rinaldi, who's a viewer of this fine program, but more importantly, a friend of mine, fellow Jets fan, fellow Long Islander, and boyfriend of my girlfriend Cheryl's little sister. So if you follow all that,
I thought things were about to get really
Is he
weird.
the one we gave stuff to at Kindafunny Live?
no.
Okay.
That is a friend of Cheryl's and my friend from Bellport High School.
Got it. I like how Cheryl's at the nexus of all these
Yeah,
friendships.
She's
and
the first and
the
first.
boyfriend of my girlfriend's sister.
It's good. It's good.
He is the boyfriend of my girlfriend's little sister, yes. And he's a great guy. He just got Jet season tickets. He's very excited
Oh,
about.
wow. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, hell yeah, it is. So happy birthday, Phil.
Over there, the Puro and Tim Gettys.
Let him host. I have something important to say, too.
I'm cracking this Coke with you.
Yeah, good. Speaking of Coke, this weekend I got a Coke that said share a Coke with your sidekick. And I thought it said side chick, and I got really excited about that because if they started making share a Coke with your side chick Cokes, I'd
For
be
a
like,
second, I thought you
legit.
got me a Greg Coke, and I was like, damn,
Ah,
that's on
that would have
point.
been good.
You guys
I just
can't
got you
read,
the
huh?
China Coke.
Well, I
Yeah.
just saw the G. And then I turned it, and it says Gina.
Yeah.
Why are you drinking Gina's Coke, bro?
How y'all feeling?
Wow.
Yeah. So that excited me a lot. And somebody, I tweeted a picture of it, and someone responded to me and said that when I talk about my girlfriend, use your right hand. When you talk about your side chick, use your left hand.
That's good.
I
That's-
kind of like
that's
that.
cute.
So, yeah.
All right. We're here for another GameOverGreggy show. That's awesome. But we're also recording it on the third birthday of the first time we ever filmed an independent YouTube video.
Happy birthday, kind of
Happy
funny.
anniversary, everybody. We didn't even know it was kind of funny back then.
Hey, no,
It was
no,
me
we
convincing
did.
Colin to listen to us, and then you guys agreeing to work for pizza.
That's true.
It
good
was
pizza.
decent pizza.
We didn't even try to sell Kevin on that deal when we brought him aboard.
I didn't even know
Because-
Kevin back then.
No, nobody did.
Kevin was a
Kevin
I
didn't
did.
exist.
Kevin begged to come.
Yeah?
True story.
Yeah?
I'm not even making that up. He was like, Tim, just please take me with
Oh,
you.
thank God.
And I was just like, no, like I got to ease in first.
Yeah,
Took a
because you were
couple
still
years.
a noob at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't know you from
No, I know.
Adam. VidCon was our first bonding experience.
Yeah.
We're actually
and
hung
we,
out
and we bonded.
Yeah, I think you asked me first, and I was like, we should bring Tim. He knows
Yeah,
this
you did
stuff.
say that.
And you were like, and I was like, I don't really want to.
I was like, he's better than
"Alright, fine,
Sean
bring
Finnegan,
Tim."
so whatever.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fuck Sean Finnegan.
No,
If we brought,
don't
if you brought
fuck Sean
Kevin,
Finnegan.
though,
We love Sean
it would have
Finnegan.
created
We
a
love Sean
butterfly
Finnegan.
effect,
He's awesome.
and who knows where we would have been at that point.
It's true.
Yeah, he would have fallen through. He would have knocked down the camera, and we're like, we can never do this again.
Yeah.
Oh, if Kevin came?
Yeah.
Oh,
If
he
Kevin
would've
came, it
destroyed
would
the
the
camera.
butterfly effect would have been maybe even catastrophic.
He would have eaten all the Oreos before we could do a narration.
Yeah.
You think that if Kevin went back and we shot with Kevin, he would have destroyed the world? Like the butterfly effect would have led to the destruction of the world.
World War III,
That's what
sure.
you're saying?
Kevin somehow becomes a tyrannical dictator of some separatist country, and it all
Peru.
started based on that one episode of Conversation with
That
Colin.
one
Just fucked up.
change.
Some things like that happen.
That was one of my problems
true.
with the movie Almanac. Is that they play around with the butterfly effect, they go back and change these things or whatever, but then weird stuff starts happening as if the universe is trying to correct it. And I'm like, that's not really what it is. That's not the butterfly effect. It's that you make a change and that change makes it,
Wait, let me back this up for a second. So you just watched Interstellar on your iPad,
Yeah.
but you've seen the movie Almanac.
Yeah, I saw it on a plane, just like when I saw Interstellar.
Okay.
Where I get home, I watch and done.
Just
I'm thinking about
double-checking.
download. Well, I couldn't. I don't want to buy It Follows, but I want to watch It Follows.
Oh, you
I wanna
should.
rent
It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Do you know anything about a movie named called Sunshine?
Sunshine?
Yeah.
Kevin's shaking his head. He knows something
You're
about
talking
it.
about the space one?
Yeah, I just someone recommended it to me, and I don't know
Oh,
anything
you'd
about
love it. You'd love it.
Is it new?
No, it's 4, 5, 6 years old. It's got a great cast of, I think it's like Cillian Murphy.
Great cast of characters. That's Scarecrow.
So, yeah, no, I was gonna say I know him.
Whatchamacallit? Who's the guy that's played the original Johnny Storm?
Chris Evans.
Yeah, Chris Evans, Captain America.
So is it just everybody from
Hold on.
comic book movies?
Wait, let's take a
I
step
couldn't
back
remember he
here.
was Captain America. For a second,
Yeah,
the first thing
you're
I
like
remember
Chris
in my
Evans,
brain.
the guy that was Johnny motherfucking Storm, not Captain America.
That's true. Well, I mean, so I mean, it's great.
Same
But
thing.
the plot of that movie is fantastic. I mean, they have to go to the sun basically to restart.
4.
it. That's the.
I'm
whole point.
gonna rent that film.
You'd like it.
that movie film.
If you enjoy that, I recommend the crossover event from DC Comics, Final Night. When
I'm
the
gonna pass on that.
Sun Eater came to our
I'm gonna
universe
pass
to
on-
eat our sun.
Let me guess. Is that a Superman villain?
No, well, I mean, it was a crossover event. It was an everybody villain.
'Cause it sounds like a Superman villain.
Everyone who was a DC person had to deal with the sun being out. Colin.
Sun Eater.
The sun went out, Colin.
I am
think
the
it-
Sun Eater.
He didn't talk. He wasn't a sentient being. He was just like a gaseous thing. That went,
Let me throw something in real quick before we get. By the way, I want
I'm
to
the
throw
Sun
this in
Eater.
real quick.
yeah.
Cheryl and I, when she was here this past weekend, watched
Your
the
girlfriend.
Nolan trilogy. And as I was saying last week a little bit, I'm becoming a Christopher Nolan fanboy. I'm reading a lot about him. He just really makes great movies. It reaffirmed into my mind how good those 3 Batman movies are. Like, I expected to go into them and be like, oh, I remember them differently and stuff. The first movie's fucking awesome. And it takes too long to get into it, so it's not like you don't really see much of Scarecrow, which is why I like that they inject him in every movie.
Yeah.
Even though like
He
at the
keeps
very
going.
beginning he just gets arrested, but like he's there. But it reaffirmed straight up, and I'm just gonna say that Dark Knight Rises is the best of those 3 movies, and I'm gonna tell you why that is. Okay, it's because the middle movie is a reflection of what happens somewhat in the first movie, but it really is a standalone title in its own way. And Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises touch each other in like
That's true.
in many ways, like
Intimately,
like,
they
like,
touch,
yeah, like it's cool how they use that movie actually to wrap things up. And it's the darkest one. It's the one with I think still the best story and like the most meaningful plot, which is like basically just it's so clearly inspired by Occupy Wall Street. I think in a lot of ways when you really look at it. Like
Zeitgeist
I
of
think
the
it's
time.
fucking obvious as the day is long that that's what the inspiration for it was. So I just wanted to say that even though I like Bane and obviously the second one's great. It's a great film. I just think that that third movie really is the best one, and I watched them back to back.
I think the thing that I always
Story
wonder
about
and
that.
we'll never know is that like what would have happened had Heath Ledger not died. Like what would that have character been in that third movie, and would it have been completely or radically different?
My assumption, I was talking to Charles about this, is like I don't know enough about Nolan's process or the process between like having the redraft that third movie, which they clearly probably had to do. But my assumption is that Bane was still the bad guy, and it was still going to go along at that point. And when they break everyone out of Blackgate or whatever it was, or that's where it is, right?
That's the prison versus Arkham, the asylum. So yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah,
Blackgate was what they broke everyone
right.
out of.
Like
I theoretically, I don't
Joker
remember.
was presumably going to be in there. Right, I mean
Yeah,
that was
you
kind of like what when I was watching. I'm like, oh, that's probably when they introduced Joker and Scarecrow, and instead of having Scarecrow was just the
Judge.
the judge at the Kangaroo Court, but Joker was probably going to be in there somewhere and have some sort of subplot, right?
Right.
And be ultimately Bane would probably die, and then ultimately he would be the guy that they had to fight.
Presumably, but it would have been really interesting. It would be interesting to go back, and I doubt that Nolan would ever. Maybe he has given interviews about this, but it'd be interesting to talk to him like 10 years from now. Like, hey, had that unfortunate event not happened, like what would that have been?
I want to say he
And
has.
he must have at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, like I would have. Kind of leading with a fresh villain is always kind of a good idea, right? Like Joker had his story; it was amazing. You're not going to be able to come close to what they accomplished in The Dark Knight, and so like having Bane come in as a more interesting, kind of more physical villain I think was a good choice. Having said that, I don't know anyone that's necessarily going to agree with you that was a better film in the trilogy. 'Cause
Some
I think
people agree with
everyone.
me.
I think
There
everyone,
is a lot. I mean, it's a hotly debated issue.
It's a more fun Batman film.
I believe the Supreme Court is weighing in on that right now.
Yeah.
Well, they just got done with gay marriage, so I
Right.
think this was next on the on
Exactly,
the,
on
the
priorities.
Priorities.
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Each bring a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, you can kick us a couple bucks over at patreon.com/kindafunny and get each and every episode early on Friday. If you don't want to give us any money, no big deal. We break it out topic by topic, day by day over on youtube.com/kindafunny. Kindafunny starting on Monday, finishing on Friday with the entire show when it goes up as an MP3 as well. Now, we've been talking about a lot of movie stuff. I'm starting this episode because we had breaking news this morning. They're doing a Star Wars Han Solo film.
Love it.
Standalone.
Han Solo movie.
Ah.
No, Tim, it's a solo Han movie.
Okay, you can stop now.
Okay.
The Lego movie directors are on board to do this. It's one of the anthology series. It's going to tell the story of how the young Han Solo became the smuggler and thief who Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi first encounter in the cantina at Mos Eisley. According to a statement by Lucasfilms, the screenplay was written by father-son duo Lawrence and John Kasdan.
Kasdan.
The Kasdan's running?
Yeah, Lawrence Kasdan's Lawrence Kasdan's writing a lot of these now. Like he's I think he was or is still on the Force Awakens. Like
Kasdan wrote Empire, didn't he?
Yeah, they brought him back. JJ brought him back.
I know
for
that. So that's
the
significant. I mean, I don't know much about film, but I know that he wrote Empire.
No, I think that was the big news when because I think someone else was writing it, and then JJ came aboard and was like, "Nah, I'm gonna get Lawrence Kasdan, bro." And then when they released that big cast photo, like he's in that photo, which is cool.
Oh, that awesome! That was a really great when they were all doing the reading.
In the round.
That was also one of the things where he was like, everyone's like, all right. This is off to it.
This is a real thing.
This is going in the right direction so far. They got the right vehicle.
The Miller and Lord joint statement reads, "This is the first film we've worked on that seems like a good idea to begin with. We promise to take risks to give the audience a fresh
Fuck you,
experience.
Lego Movie and 21 Jump
and we
Street.
pledge ourselves to be faithful stewards of these characters who mean so much to us." The question I have, of course, Colin was surprised when I said I'd bring this up as my topic. As not being a huge Star Wars fan, I want to know your reactions as huge Star Wars fans, and then what you want to see done with the movie.
Oh man, I mean, this excites me so much because when you think about it, I often say this: would you rather something not happen or happen, even if it's bad? And I just rather it happened,
That's
which
crazy.
might not be the most popular opinion, but I'm
Transformers. This is your
Transformers.
Transformers.
My thing is I'm happy it happened because even though it happened and it was bad, it brought Transformers back and gave me a lot of good Transformers things I wouldn't have got otherwise.
Yeah.
This is Star Wars. This is a little bit different. There's going to be some bad movies. There's going to be some great movies. Which one will this be? I don't know, but all of this sounds great. I loved the Lego movie. I love 21 and 22 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Love Han Solo. Great. I'm totally sold. Everyone's biggest argument against this movie is like, oh, where's the new stuff? I want to see new stuff. It's like, okay, do you want new stuff or do you want this? Because I think this is what you want.
I'm surprised because I think the biggest argument is that it can't be Harrison Ford.
Oh, well,
they're
that's
gonna have to
but
cast
it's an
some
origin
other guy.
story, though.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be someone else, like Channing Tatum, who was awesome in 21 and 22 Jump Street. And
That's true.
Channing Tatum should play everyone in every movie, and it'll make it better.
You were thinking Channing Tatum. I was thinking Pratt.
I was thinking Pratt too because he's in
some
everything
reason,
now
yeah.
too.
Oh,
I feel like he's gonna like there was I don't know if it was rumored or whatever. I think you guys were talking to me about it. I'm a little out of the loop on that, but that they were tapping him to be Indiana Jones, Chris Pratt,
Probably.
And I'm like that
Shia LaBeouf
is
fucked it all
so perfect.
But now imagine if
if
he
he's
was
Indiana
both.
Jones and Han Solo, like back in the day,
Oh, that'd be awesome.
that would blow your mind apart. I mean, my thing is, I was really excited when they talked about the standalone Boba Fett story, which I guess is still moving forward to some degree.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
rumor was that this was it.
It lost a director.
Don't forget too that his prequel's been told and it was great. A clone.
I fucking hate you
With
so much.
no indoctrination, just out there now to avenge his clone father, or whatever the hell you want to call him, his zygote,
Yeah,
head chopped off.
I don't think he was a clone in the
We've
prequels.
gone over this a million fucking times.
Fett
He
is a clone.
was. He was a clone that just didn't get programmed like the other clones.
Oh, I thought he was.
Django was like, "I'll do this for you, but I
Oh,
get
but
my
you
own
have to- that's
clone
right, you have
that's
to give me a
totally
kid
blank."
clone.
And Watto came in and was like, "Okay,
I like in Greg's head that any deal that happened in the Star Wars universe, Watto brokered.
Watto brokers
Watto was like
every
a
deal.
brokering every deal, even the one where they had to sell the carbonite to fucking Darth Vader. Well, I'll get you a good deal. We'll see. I mean, again, I'm not gonna go out there and say I don't want this to happen because if it's a great film, it'll be a great film. And these guys have a great lineage of making good films. Like I didn't particularly care for the Lego Movie just because I think I watched it with my wife, and she tends to take a lot of the fun out of those movies that are skewed more toward kids because she's like, this is too much for me. It's just crazy. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't one of my. I wasn't caught up in it like everyone else. However, 21 Jump Street is my jam.
Yeah.
I watched that like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, why is this movie so funny? Like, it has no right to be this funny.
It really doesn't.
But it's just it's just a well told story, and even 22 Jump Street made me laugh.
I can't wait for the Men in Black crossover."
It'll
Which
be interesting
all
to
of
see what
this is
happens.
just so good. And then you add Han Solo, and I'm like, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, I
But
think.
like, so are you scared at all about them skewing back to being like this funny, like more of having like 21, like a Han Solo movie, even with a little bit of 21 Jump Street, and it doesn't sound right.
I mean, I'm in. Like, here's the thing. It's about him when he's younger and stuff. It's like, it doesn't need to be so much like comedy focused.
Yeah.
But just more the style. Like 21 and 22 Jump Street have a style about them that I think lends itself very nicely to Han Solo. Taking out the comedy, but just the action scenes in 21 Jump Street, awesome.
Well, I think they'll do a good job with it. I mean, and that really is the proof's going to be in the pudding on this. The question is there... Do we need everything in the Star Wars universe explained to us? And that's the bigger question for me, is not that whether or not these guys can make a good movie, because I have no doubt that they'll make a quality film. And it's the Star Wars license. I have no doubt that I'll go and watch it and enjoy it. But we've talked about this multiple times in that when you talk about Han Solo and you talk about specifically Boba Fett, is there a magic in the fact that you don't know where these characters came from, that they are just these badass characters that have no real origin stories? Like, we don't know much about them. There's a mystery and a mystique to them that... You sort of, when you were a kid, you kind of made that up in your own brain. You brought all that stuff with you when you watched these movies, and you kind of filled in the blanks yourself with your own imagination. Do we need to have this stuff written out for us? Do we need these origin stories set in stone? Because to me, it's way cooler just imagining what Boba Fett, like all the crazy shit Boba Fett's done.
Taking Boba Fett out of it and just focusing on Han Solo, because I agree with what you're saying about Boba, but with Han, it's like, what I don't want is a origin story where he's a little kid and we see all of the things that lead up. Like, that's a little too much information. But just random adventures he had and stuff, yeah, we make those up in our heads. But it's like, I don't think this movie needs to be this is why he is the way he is movie. Just more, these are a couple of things he did.
But it will be, and that's the problem.
So, I mean, like, the prediction would be this will be the one where he gets his jacket, the Millennium Falcon, or at least sees it for the first time, and then how he gets Chewie in the Life Debt.
He's got also, and this is
Chewie
maybe
this big and adorable. It'll be it'll be porty sized.
It'll be porty sized Chewie. Look at him, there he is, Chewie. We're home. We're home.
Hey, is that Greedo?
I'll be 100% on board with this if it is also a Lando Calrissian story, like they're homies.
No, see, you're saying all the things you knock the prequels for.
That's where he got the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, he has to be in it. And that's so. This is the thing. I've remained quiet long enough. This is.
I will be shackled no more.
This is the.
No one's forced you to be quiet.
No, I know, but I'm only kidding. There's a major problem with this, which is one that Harrison Ford can't play the character. I think this is a significant problem. And the reason that this is a significant problem is because he's going to be in the movie that comes out the year before this, so everyone is going to see totally two different Han Solos now. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't care if it's just a movie. It's like this is the same character, and I don't really think that Harrison Ford's story needs to be told because we already know how he got to that point. It's not it's not a matter like there's minutia there where we have to kind of figure that out. But we know he got the Falcon from a bad bet with Lando. Yeah. We know that Chewbacca owes him a life debt for helping him, presumably on Kashyyyk. We know all these kinds of things. So this is already kind of filled in. The thing about Han Solo is that, like Boba Fett, and I almost say Han Solo might be by himself. Like, Han Solo is kind of a sacred character. I think he's actually more sacred than Luke. I think he's more sacred than Darth Vader. I think he's more sacred than a lot of characters because he's the only normal one. And that's like what people like. And I don't mean that in any other way than like he doesn't have force powers.
He's the Batman of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, like he's actually the only one that's grounded in reality, you know? Mm-hmm. And not only in reality in that world, but reality in terms of his own skill set. He's just a great pilot. He's just a normal person. So you have to be very careful with explaining his story and not removing the mystique. And a lot of the mystique comes from the fact that he is just a normal guy that somehow survived to the point where he met Obi-Wan and Luke at that Mos Eisley in A New Hope. So I think there's going to be casting issues, and this isn't. I'm excited. I'm always interested to see what they're going to do, but I would rather them do something that explained away things that the prequels fucked up, and I think that's what these movies are going to be good for. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, Rogue One will eliminate any sort of discrepancy between the story told by Mon Mothma and all that kind of stuff and like what happened after the prequel. So like at least we have a little tight little story there as opposed to assumptions. And the Boba Fett story was so exciting because it was going to undo the damage that Episode 2 did to Boba Fett's character, which was significant. There is no issue with Han Solo's character. So like you don't need to.
That's what I'm saying. Is
they were smart enough not to have him in the prequels.
Yeah.
I hope he turns out that he has metachlorians too, like a high level of metachlorians, and he just hides it. He's like, I don't even want to embrace the Force. wink at a camera.
I will say
guns float around him.
How cool would it be though is if the origin story butted right up against A New Hope, where at the very, very end of the movie,
But no, really,
it's him heading to Tatooine. Like,
see,
with
for me,
Chewie.
that not even being like us, this is all sacred. Like, I enjoy the movies, fine, right? That would be stupid because I feel like you pick up and you know what Harrison Ford looks like and where we are, and I want this to be set a decade, 2 decades before that. You know what I mean?
The thing with the casting that you're bringing up is like it's very true that Harrison Ford is Han Solo, so that's hard to kind of like get out of your mind. But Patrick Stewart is Professor X. But then we get the prequels, and I don't think anybody had an issue with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
but
well, with that,
no disrespect though, Professor X is not Han Solo or anywhere.
But I mean,
remotely
that's true. But
Han Solo.
with that though, we did get the tie-in. Like, it was cool because that series had kind of ended on a poor note with X-Men: The Last Stand. So that was one of those where you're like, oh, we kind of need a reboot on this because they kind of went off the tracks a little bit. But then in that reboot, they were smart because they had both of them there. And they played so well off of each other and almost antagonistic toward each other in Days of Future Past that you kind of accept that James McAvoy is now the younger Patrick Stewart. Whereas in order to do that, they'd have to go back and forth in time in the Star Wars to kind of put them both in the same space.
Not Days of Future Past, the first one, First Class.
Oh, First Class. Well, again, First Class was okay. We have to kind of make up a little bit of lost ground with what we
fucked up
lost
the future so bad. Let's
yeah.
just go backward.
Let's go backward. But then again, I think it really solidified it for me in Days of Future Past when we saw both of them. When you saw Patrick Stewart in the future being a badass, bald, Professor X, and then James McAvoy in the past in the 70s. I thought it was really cool. But also, to Colin's point, it's true. Like, Professor X is a great iconic character to people who love comics and now people who love comic book movies. But like, Han Solo is an icon. And so you have to treat that with a lot more respect. I mean, Chris Pratt could play him. I think he might be one of the only people that could, unless you go find someone who's
unknown.
An up-and-comer, an unknown, which might be
Michael
the way they go either.
Rosenbaum?
It'd be hilarious. That'd be awesome. But I don't know. I mean, again, it boils down to this. Like, Greg, you said 2 decades earlier, but in the original films, he was only supposed to be like 30.
Yeah, not even. I think, and that was
a 10-year-old Han Solo
That was
story.
the thing. Yeah, I mean, but remember the last time that happened?
He was only like 30 in the original films. Like, I think he actually was in his 30s when he played that character.
Yeah, but I think the character's even younger. I think the character's supposed to be in his 20s. Like, I think because Luke's in his 20s and they're supposed to be like peers. You know, so that is the major point is that for this story to work in my mind, they have to go way back, and we know what happened the last time we did that in Star Wars. So I don't. I'm not saying you're necessarily replicating it
on Millennium Falcon.
I just don't like that character. The way that they portrayed Anakin, it doesn't have to be that way again. But that character ruined Darth Vader, and so did Hayden Christensen. So like, when you picture those two characters and then you picture Darth Vader, those aren't the same people in my mind. Like, it's just like that's a bastardization of what Vader really was, and you don't want them to go down that road where people have to actually pretend that this Han Solo shit doesn't exist. I do think this is a very bold move. I don't think this is a story you really want to mess with. That's why I was excited about Rogue One. Was it's a story that exists in the universe. It's a story that needs to be told, I think, and is super interesting and very important. And the biggest question we asked about that is, who's going to play Grand Moff Tarkin? That was like the biggest question we had there, right?
Which doesn't really matter, right? You can get Julianne Moore, great. She's Grand Moff Tarkin, done. She plays everything.
Yeah, so like Tarkin's an important character and a great character, and he was the leader of the Empire.
Which one was the female? I'm thinking.
Mon Mothma.
That's Mon Mothma. Sorry, that's what I meant for Julianne Moore.
Yeah, no,
sorry, Grand Moff Tarkin.
I understand. Grand Moff Tarkin.
I thought you were being.
I thought you were being facetious, but
no, she could do it. I'm sorry, I was mixing up my Star Wars characters.
So that was the biggest question we had. I was like, all right, this is a great story to tell. It's an essential story to how A New Hope comes together. So the biggest question we have is who's going to play Tarkin, who's a character that I love, but not a character that is relevant,
revered.
Right, yeah. But to that point, Call, like, that was a story she mentioned one thing in passing where she's like, a lot of good people gave their lives to get this information or something. I'm paraphrasing. I can't remember what the actual quote was.
A lot of Bothans died.
A lot of Bothans died, right? So that, when I was a kid, was like, damn. I mean, that's something you just kind of glossed over there. I would like to know more about that. That is a story that actually begs to be told. Whereas Han Solo's story, really, when you kind of boil it down to its core essentials, is a story that not only doesn't need to be told, it's very dangerous to tell that story because you have a character that's at 100% right now. Like, you're actually operating at a disadvantage going back and telling that story because it's never going to be as cool as, like, as that character just sitting in a cantina in Tatooine. That's the first time we see him, and we learn that he's a gambler and a smuggler, and he's good with a blaster, and he's a cocky son of a bitch. That's all I needed to know about him going forward. Good. That's great character development right there. Let's see what he does in this new set of circumstances where he has to be a good guy and not a smuggler and not a gambler and not a bad guy. But going back and showing me him growing up as a kid and his parents dying or whatever it is, and then being an orphan and befriending Lando Calrissian and them going on the run together like a buddy cop film, and then all of a sudden like something bad happens and he's like, well, I gotta go smuggle now. I gotta work for the Empire. Oh, the Empire, no, they screwed me over. Now I gotta be a bad guy. Oh wait. And then it butts up against like now he has to find his redemption in New Hope. It's cool, I guess.
There's certain parts of that sound horrible, like the whole little kid and parents dying and blah blah blah. But him and Lando buddy cop from the guys that brought you 21 and 22 Jump Street, sign me the fuck up.
Oh, I would totally be
that
if like
awesome.
If they got like Michael B. Jordan to be Lando Calrissian,
Oh my
that would
God.
be amazing.
Holy shit!
But again, it's one of those stories where I'm like, does it need to be told? And that's where I have my my trepidation with this is that again, they've got the odds stacked against them in this. It's a big deal to go back and retell more of Han Solo's story. We're already gonna see more of him in episode 7. I'm already scared about that. Of like, please don't mess that character up because he's perfect right now. And it's like anything you're gonna add into that system is gonna make him less perfect, which frightens me a little bit.
Yeah, there are other stories that are begging to be told, and that's
tell more Jedi stories for Christ's
Yeah,
sake. Like, there's a whole
Watto-
lineage of Jedi. No, he's not a Jedi, Greg.
I
He
appreciate
can't be everything. Watto can't be everything.
I respect that they want to go back and fill in these stories. I don't want them to ignore the prequels either, because that was what was so exciting again about the Boba Fett story. Was there? It seemed like such an elegant solution, whether it was a rumor, an unsubstantiated rumor or not. It was so elegant, the idea behind that movie, that I was like, wow, that's brilliant. Like, what else can you fix?
Explain what you're talking about, though, for the people that don't know.
So the idea of the rumor about Boba Fett's standalone, which was supposed to be the one that was after Rogue One, so the 2018 movie was, and that was a rumor again. I don't know if it was ever true or got off the board, off
Which
the
is
ground.
now this one.
Yeah, exactly.
Now this Han Solo one.
Was supposed to be that the Boba Fett we know from Empire and Jedi is not Boba Fett. That
It's not Jango Fett's son.
Right, exactly. Like, he
clone.
kills at some point Jango Fett's son and takes his armor and becomes Boba Fett. And so the Boba Fett we know is
the best thing in the world.
So it was basically a way to say, like, no, the Boba, like, because everyone's like, fuck, they fucked Boba Fett up. I'm like, no, they didn't. The Boba Fett you knew is not that Boba Fett. And that was such an I couldn't believe how elegant that sounded. I was like, wow, like,
Yeah, but
I would have never thought of that.
Think about how many possibilities that opens, right? Why did he kill him to take his identity? Was he running from something else? Did he do something
Jar Jar.
else that was hardcore that he had to get a different identity, or did he see that as an opportunity to kind of skip a couple letters in the ladder or levels in the ladder and take this person's already sort of established reputation and blow it out? I don't know. It's cool. That would have been cool.
That sounds really cool.
It's awesome.
That movie's more exciting to me than the Han Solo.
Me too. Just because, again, Boba Fett was one of those characters that you were like, I want to see more of this guy. Like, to me, he was the coolest, top 3 coolest characters in Star Wars. Boba Fett. And you only saw him for probably total screen time, like 30 minutes across
I would
across
say
all 3 films.
Boba Fett. You mean in 2 as well?
2, yeah, because he was in 2 for a minute.
He's in 2
where
for
he's
a
like,
lot.
He's no use to me if he's dead. And Vader's like, shut up.
Oh wait, I'm talking about episode 2. So you're talking about Empire and Jedi, because I was going to say you might see Boba Fett for less than 5 minutes.
Oh, and Empire. I'm talking about Empire and Jedi.
Okay.
Where like
what I'm
he's on Cloud City for a while, and then they're he's there for a bit, and then he's in the whole first like hour of Jedi.
He's there, but I was
30
just
minutes
saying
Jedi.
in terms of when you see him, I bet you it's less than 5 minutes.
Maybe it might be,
And that was what was so cool about it.
But that was cool, and like you saw that one scene where he's sitting there with all the bounty hunters, and you're like, this is dope. Like, all you have to do is make him the good guy, or actually the protagonist, against all these other bounty hunters, and boom, there's your movie. Yeah. Like, there was I think it was Shadows of the Empire handled that, where he has to transport Han Solo from Cloud City to Jabba the Hutt. And like all these other bounty hunters try to attack him. Yeah, and it's the cool story, because you're like, well, he's the best of all the bad guys, so I'm rooting for him. Similar to like you rooting for a Tony Soprano character, where you're like, this guy's a bad guy, but in this story, I'm kind of rooting for him. That could be cool. That could be very cool.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see how this all goes down, because I agree. Like, that even is an interesting story about how he acquired Han, like, how he was going to go after Han, how he hatched his plot, and what the other 5 bounty hunters were thinking too. And those stories have been, because they all went about it in a different way in the books,
right?
And they did try to tell those stories about how IG-88 went about it his way. I think Forlom and Zuckuss were like partners and stuff like that. So like there's all these all these different stories. I don't know. You just have to pick up. Like, I want them to watch the movies very deeply, and it seemed like that's where Rogue One came from. It's like something was said, and it's like that.
Fascinating.
That's an interesting story.
Yeah.
Like, who the hell did steal the Death Star plans? This seems a little less thoughtful, but we don't know anything about it.
We'll see.
But
I mean,
I'm
Lawrence Kasdan's
super wary
writing
about it. This is the first thing I've heard where I'm like, I'm not really into it. You know, from the
new Star Wars.
JJ stuff. Yeah.
I will say this, and I said this before. I know it's a tremendous pipe dream, but I really hope that like 10 years from now they just go back and redo the original, the first 3 movies. I want them to just have the balls to be like, you know what, we're going to retell that story again, and it's going to tie into the canon that we're setting up with these last like 6 films. I just think that would be amazing.
I don't think that that's necessarily out of this world in terms of an idea. Like I'm sure that idea has come up and it might be something they want to do. I would love for them to be like nothing that happened in the first, like when they bought it and they were like everything, like these things are no longer canon. I wanted them so badly to be like the prequels are no longer canon. Like they are not real Star Wars movies, you know, and in our hearts they're not real Star Wars movies. Anyone who grew up with Star Wars from the back of the day, I don't know fucking one of them that likes it, like not a single person.
The problem is that Clone Wars, the cartoon, spun out of it, right? And people love that.
Sure,
you can work
just
that
go
in.
back and do an alternate telling of the stories. I mean, recast Samuel L. Jackson as even a bigger character.
Yep.
In this, and he's going to be the pivotal role.
Don't kill Maul.
You're right.
Don't
And
kill
let him
Darth
live
Maul.
until
Bring his
the
ass
third
back.
one.
Yeah,
Let
do
Anakin
it.
fight him.
would have been cool.
So final question.
no brainer stuff, you know. Like,
Yeah, I know. They'll
Do you
it,
think
hopefully.
and think through your responses on this before you just shout out your knee-jerk reaction? Do you think in the Han Solo prequel, Harrison Ford will pop up? Will there be some kind of Spock v Spock thing? And maybe not them meeting, mind you, but him narrating this story. He's telling his kids this story.
Yes.
Yeah?
Narration or something like that. Yeah. Visually seeing him, no. Maybe we'll get some type of like Anakin's shadowy type thing where like he looks in the mirror and it's like
He's
old
drugged
Harrison
or
Ford
something, and he
like
sees
that.
old
Yeah.
Harrison Ford.
The narration thing, that sounds
Yeah.
pretty correct.
Because the story could end, or the movie ends, and then there's like a bunch of black or whatever, or is the post-credit scene, and then it's just like Harrison Ford's voice, and like, but I didn't even tell you about my greatest adventure.
So just like Big Boss?
yeah, wait,
spoilers?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Han Solo will return in Watto's Revenge.
I get you best deals. I don't.
Han Solo.
I don't see them doing the narration just because that's out of form for Star Wars, and I think what they're trying to do is keep the.
Do I need to read the quote again?
Go ahead. Did you read the quote before?
Yeah, of course I did. Thanks for listening. God.
No, just 31 minutes ago.
We promise to take risks to give the audience a fresh experience, and we pledge ourselves to be faithful stewards of these characters who mean so much to us.
That's a possibility. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't hate it. It's just we'll see what happens with Harrison Ford being in Episode 7, because I don't know if that character comes across as Han Solo for me again, then I'm all for it.
He's gonna be awesome.
I don't know. I mean,
He's gonna be
even
awesome.
in the trailer, I'm like, oh man,
no,
that's so Harrison Ford.
No. In the trailer, the first time you watched it, he said, "Chewie, we're home," and you said it. You teared up.
Yes, and then
So
we
don't be
saw,
like, no.
No, then we saw him, and I was like, oh, it'll all depend on how well he comes off in the film.
how much Harrison Ford cares?
I mean, that's really what it comes down to, right? Because he cared about Indiana Jones, and he in Indiana Jones was good. The Crystal Kingdom of
he
the Crystal
was not
Skull.
the problem.
He wasn't the problem necessarily, but he cared. You could tell he was like, I'm going to get back into this. I'm going to be this character again. But that really is something that you have to struggle with when you bring these older actors back who are so established. Because you have to also remember that Harrison Ford was nothing when he did Han Solo the first time. He was nothing. He had done he had been in like a Kubrick film. I think he was in
Eyes Wide Shut.
No, that would be hilarious if he's just in the background like, hey guys, with a mask on.
Was he
You're
in
like, is that
American
her?
Graffiti?
Oh,
He was in American
he
Graffiti,
was.
and he was also in I think he was in a Kubrick film that was about the bomb, Dr. Strangelove. I think he was in that, or maybe I'm thinking someone else. It doesn't matter. He wasn't established as an actor. This is what broke him out, and so that was the power of that. Like we didn't know who Mark Hamill was. We didn't necessarily know who Carrie Fisher was. We didn't know who Harrison Ford was. And now, 40 years later, how many films has he done? Like hundreds at this point. It's like he's got to get back into that headspace, and it might be hard for him.
All right.